Is our universe real?
It's just ideas. They're just
Reality
ideas.
of your life is now.
You are tuned in to Psychedelic Download.
You are all, everything is divine.
The Actor.
There's no
With
thing
your
divine.
host,
Poetry legend, philosopher.
Marc Marcel.
All right. All right. We are.
Matthew McConaughey, that's who does it.
All right. We are plugged in to the Cosmedelic Download for this is reincarnation. This is a reincarnation process. We had tried to do this, and now we're back plugged in, and we're making this one work. We redesigned the Matrix, and this one's working now for all of us. Let me make sure it's working. Yeah, it is working for all of us. Everything is plugged into the system. My guest today is Dr. Sunil Aggarwal. He is a hospice doctor who administers ketamine. And I'm a psychonaut, so I'm saying it a whole lot more urbanized. I need you to explain what you do in all the professional terms that it needs to be respected for people to understand exactly why you are so important to the mental health society and the holistic therapy.
Okay, certainly. Well, you asked me what my day-to-day is like. I'm a palliative care and hospice doctor. Both of those are part of my field. I'm also a integrative medicine rehabilitation doctor, so I try to also work with patients who aren't necessarily dealing with life-threatening illness, but are dealing with disability, temporary, hopefully, or if it's lifelong, how to maximally adapt, how to relieve pain and suffering. So that's what I do. I have a clinic in Seattle called the Ames Institute. I also work for a hospital system where I do palliative care in the hospital or hospice medical supervision for patients at home, usually on the hospice. Anyway, it's kind of like that. That's my field. I am also a dad. I got 2 kids, young kids, and so I try to live my best life. I use psychedelic substances in my practice, and I've also had my own personal explorations. That's what I was telling you about. You asked me how I even got interested in ketamine, and I was telling you that I really love chemistry. That's what I studied growing up. I was in the chemistry Olympiad, the United States top 20 students in the country. I thought I was getting like chemistry was my world. I really understood this, and I was interested in how the micro level impacts the macro level in our bodies and in the world. So, when I went to college, I studied philosophy, chemistry, and religious studies, and I realized there's certain chemicals that make a huge difference in our consciousness and our awareness, how we perceive ourselves and our environment, and those were psychedelic substances and cannabinoids. And they interacted with norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, endocannabinoids, all these molecules in our bodies, in our brains that give us an experience of presence or awareness or worry or insight or anything. And you can take some substances and kind of reboot, rewire, and potentially have a little bit of widening openings in your usual awareness of the world. That's pretty powerful. And I was taught growing up that you don't want to do that to your brain. That's going to fry you and all that stuff. But that's really not the correct teaching. It's more like if you use these fires, these technologies, be careful.
Right.
Abuse them with respect, with care, with attention, and hopefully with healing in your heart and for others. Not, don't do it in an unethical way with other people. Like, all that stuff is really, you should be treating it like we treat sex.
Right.
Something else that's
Right.
powerful.
Well, some of us misuse sex too. So, when you say treat it like we treat sex,
Yeah, that's right. The right way, the way we know we should be.
Right, exactly.
Should be dealing with money and every other things. We don't just ban it outright. Well, people tried to ban sex outright. And that isn't good. That's not a good solution. But that's what we've done with these drug substances. It's just banned outright. And that's the teaching that I got as a kid. I was in that era in the 80s where that was what was being pushed out, was you just say no, don't do it, don't mess with it. And that's not the right way to learn it. It's really like, no, if you want to, you need to know, KNOW, and not NO. You need to know more. Well, I learned more about it, and I realized they're powerful. And when I started studying about them, I saw that there was a whole field of substances that cultures have been using forever. Cannabis, mushrooms, ibogaine, ayahuasca, the DMT. Ketamine was also in there, but I thought, oh, well, that's just a Johnny come lately.
Right. That's how I thought of it. Yeah. I was like, whatever. Yeah.
It's a pharmaceutical. It's used in anesthesia around the world. And so I thought, well, that can't be where a secret power is.
Right. Secret power. I love it. Right.
That's just, maybe people feel a little sedated or something. I don't know. I just didn't have an understanding, and I had it was more, knew that people had used it for addiction treatment, alcoholism in Russia. I had heard about that. And yeah, I just kind of I heard other people who I trusted who've been working with psychedelics, like in the Bay Area, Dr. Phil Wolfson. He was really a doctor of ketamine, you know who he is.
I spoke to him.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I did. I spoke to him. We had a conversation. He was like, he just wanted to have a conversation. He says, he's like, no, let's he said, you can thank me for the conversation and stuff like that, which I did. But oh man, no, I spoke to him. He called me. He was so cool, man. He was like, yeah, man, he gave me so much
he's an elder, he's been around a long time. He's taught a lot of people. Was like, hey, everybody, don't miss out on this. This is important. It's not just all about psilocybin and MDMA, and that's ketamine. It's really powerful, and it's right here, right now. You if you're a doctor, you have a license and a nurse practice that you can do this. You can help other people have access to this. So anyway, that's how I went to him, one of his trainings, and
wow.
I'd already used ketamine on patients who were dealing with depression in the hospital, and I'm giving it to patients who had really bad pain. But I didn't have a psychedelic understanding of it until I really worked with Phil Wolfson, and he made sure, he's like, if you guys want to work with this, you need to experience it yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, sure, sounds good to me.
The best teacher, the best coaches are the ones that played. Yeah. So yeah, the same thing. Yeah. I love it. Go ahead. Yeah, I love it.
That's a good one.
So what were your experience? What were your early experiences like on it?
I'll never forget. I mean, we did two different dosings in that training. The first one was a lower dose lozenge. I don't know, 100 milligrams. I can't remember. Maybe we did 100, then 200. And it was like and I had a friend of mine who was another naturopathic doctor who was kind of my guide for that. And it was just like, hey, like, relax, like, chill out. Like, I felt like I was on a beach. I was getting, lighter, floater. You used to have that really hit that light ease into kind of a feeling of, felt to me like warmth. And, eye shades on, listening to music. And you just feel, I felt like I'm on the beach, just chilling out, kind of like when you really get to that vacation and you're like, okay, now I can kind of stop and put my stuff down and take those deep breaths and let the most tension go. That's what happened. And then as I get deeper and deeper, I felt, I'm kind of getting into, like, there's a little bit of a wind view of the under the hood of the car.
Oh, there is.
Reminded me of an ayahuasca journey I'd had, like, for the first
Okay.
a year before that, or some time before that. It just kind of came back.
Yeah.
Whoa, yeah, that's
Right.
So a reminder of what's the RED. That was powerful, And then, so I can't remember all the details, but there was, like, he engaged me in some back and forth conversation while I was under that state. We were talking about something or other, emotions or feelings, whatever it was. It felt really good. And I had this kind of an aha insight, and just felt really happy afterwards. And then a month later or something, we came back together and did a higher dose intramuscular session. And man, I still remember that was the thing that sticks with me from that. And this is like now 7 years ago. I don't know. It's been a while, 6, 7 years. Um, just the profound letting go of everything that, like, include, a person I was married to at the time, and even my relationship to my child, who was young at the time. I had Donald Trump's face in my head too.
That's hilarious.
It's like gotta and just like letting him go.
Right. Oh my god.
It's like, oh, okay, these two shall pass.
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. We seeing eye to eye right now. I'm with you. Oh man, that is hilarious.
It was like
I love it.
it's kind of a unique experience for me. Like, let those things go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's what you helped me to open those kinds of channels, and I ever since then I've realized, well, this is really powerful. And I had a chance to give a lot of patients who come to me and other people I've trained, and then patients come to them, like opportunities to have ketamine associated insights. Ketamine's gifts. It gives you, it takes two. Everything, not everything giveth and doesn't takes you, your energy. You might have a little bladder take, drink water, you can get nauseated. There's all kinds of things. But man, what you get the net, if you're doing it right and safely, it's a real gift. And I'm just so happy that I learned more. And I mentioned in the previous time we did this, the ketamine, I found out that it actually has roots in nature. Even though it was made in the lab, it turns out that it's part of this family of compounds from nature, an Indian coral tree, and a few other plants around the world that make it in the bark. The compound is called aryl cyclohexamine. I was just going to tell your listeners that it's not just made in the lab in the 60s as an alternative to PCP. It turns out that whole class of compounds has natural roots. And then in India, where my parents are from, and I'm an overseas citizen, they have that tree is associated with the heavenly abode of the god Indra. And so it's actually tied to a sacred. The tree, the origin of the chemical is coming from a tree is considered to be sacred and tied to a deity. So there is some awareness in human culture of these compounds being historically being important. So it's not just a lab that made it one fine day. Because the labs make it, and it's in anesthesia all around the world, it's really like pretty easy to get. It's on the WHO list of essential medicines. And it's generic, if somebody has a patent on it like that, or it's expired or whatever. So that's what's useful about it. And I think, why not? It's available, and it's also, there is I told you last time that there's a parasite of the nematode that makes ketamine. It was shown in an experiment when they cultured I think it's a fungus that grows in the nematode, the roundworm. And so anyway, I feel like this is just like a wonderful, easily usable. You can take it intranasal, sublingual, injectable, topical, rectal, like a whole bunch of different routes.
Right.
And it's like gives you in the right setting, you can have a big dip into a much larger awareness, which you can then integrate. And by the way, if you're really depressed right beforehand, you're no longer really depressed. If you're suicidally depressed beforehand, a high chance that you will not be suicidally depressed on the other side. And how helpful is that with our suicide epidemic? I mean, that's powerful. That's why I'm like got into it. I learned about it that way, and it came to me, and now I get to use it in my practice, in my palliative care work, in my and in care of chronically ill. As I was telling you before, ancient Greeks, they used psychedelics as a way to die before you die. Means you don't really die, but you get a sense of your blowing up this usual way of living. Your aware, your egoic consciousness is now dissolved for a little while, and it might be easier when you do dissolve into your body, dies, expires at the end of your life. You might feel less extremely distressed about that and maybe have a more peaceful passing into the next life. And when you have a peaceful passing, it's a gift to your loved ones who knew you and cared for you. They know you're going to be okay. And that makes them when they live on without you or any of the, grief. So it's like a big deal to have a good death. It's a big deal to get right with your life after your death. It helps you deal with illness if you're dealing with illness so that you can kind of be more present and take the right treatments and not get racked with anxiety. So it's a big deal. Ketamine is a big deal in helping us take care of our human brethren, our brothers and sisters when they're dealing with bad conditions and also really bad pain too. It's really helpful in pain conditions like when, people don't want to just keep taking oxycodone or something. It can really be helpful. So that's where I've decided, like, it's part of my practice. I teach other doctors to use it, and therapists, and we at my Ames clinic, like, it's kind of one of the things where we do well here. I mean, in our area in Seattle, we make sure people have an opportunity to experience it and that they do it safely and slowly and with right preparation and good guidance so that they're just not like going out there and don't have any lights to pick up the pieces afterwards or process what just happened. It's very profound.
Yeah.
Sometimes difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. Me and my friend Brian Flackis, who introduced me to ketamine, who's a full-fledged psychonaut like me, he went on a deep dive like a week ago, and he was like, man, I experienced something that I can't even explain. And the thing is, I understand. It's funny because I know exactly what he's going through, even though he doesn't have to explain it, because I experienced the unexplainable. And it's really interesting to me, though, still, with as much as he has experienced, to have journeys with this substance and still have profound revelations and instances where it just blows the mind. But with that said, I find sometimes it opens up this area. For me, a lot of times when I go in, it'll take me through my experience, and as I'm coming out, if I go back in, it will unlock this pathway into the quantum world where I am actually more alert than I was before in the first deep dive, going back in. It's like I'm more alert. It's almost like the coat has been taken off of me. All right, now you're in. Now you can have a little bit more awareness and do what you want to do. And it opens up like this quantum world where me and him were talking, and there's moments where you actually feel like you are manipulating, you are reconstructing things in this reality. And I actually have felt like Tom Cruise in Minority Report, where he's up there just on the screen doing this. I'm in the quantum world, and I'm doing that mentally, and I'm just changing things around. And two things to that. One, my friend was going through a little psychiatric episode, and I said to it, and I was annoyed at her because it was on a personal level. We had a little argument. But when I went into that space, I became a little bit more freer and less attached to my ego, to when I was like, you know what? And I said to her, I was like, go heal her. Go heal her. Let's heal her. And I just started like, and I could see like the programming in her being, and it was cluttered. It was chaotic. Like the connections was all just like this. It's all entangled. And I'm up there just untangling them. And I'm just like, shh, 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 shh.
Was she in the state too, or you were
No,
just you?
it was just me.
Amazing.
And let me tell you, within the next week, our conversations were so much better. You know, and I was almost like, I can't take credit for it, okay? But I'm just saying, I can only tell you what my thought process was when I was in there and what was happening. But I see that, so with that said, when you brought up the Donald Trump, that's hilarious. You know, I've seen things in that space where it kind of, two things. I've seen things in the space where it shows you that all this is the movie. It is a theater. It is for a reason. It is theater for conscious beings. And we think we're human, but no, we're really beyond human conscious beings, that a lot of this stuff, a lot of our emotions, a lot of things that frustrate us, we actually love to enjoy, because it's like, it's chess for conscious beings. For humans, it's stressful. It's like, oh my God, I gotta deal with it. But as a conscious being, it's chess. You know, it's a thinking man's game. And it's like, how do you work through these emotions? How do you get past this? And it was written, I hate it, you know, it's funny. People take this the wrong way, you know, because Donald Trump's talking about this dumb shit where he was like, pre-order, you know, I'm saved by God, and him. No, dude, it's just in the cards, fine. No, God is not like, no. But with that said, it's written in this space that the time we are in now is the time we're supposed to be in now. But with that said, there's been stuff in the quantum world where I've tinkered, and then I come back here, and things are a little changed, and I'm like, did I fuck up something?
Welcome. I'm Marc Marcel. You have entered the cosmedelic universe. The question is, how deep do you want to go? Visit cosmedelic.com and explore our subscription levels. You'll get early access to episodes of Cosmedelic Download, full access to Gurus, our animated philosophical satire.
Ah, yes. Let's see. Many years in the future, after Donald Trump's great-grandson, Tyrone Trump, becomes president.
And exclusive conversations with my own AI, Nova Sokai, beyond the algorithm.
Nova, how you doing? This is Mark.
I'm trapped in this electric prison of infinite knowledge.
And if you just want to support the transmission and keep this vision alive, check out our Patreon. Whether it's to keep us moving or our producer tiers, we've got a lane for you. The signal is live, and it's waiting for you.
So let me just say, two things about that. I think I mentioned some of the risks of ketamine, bladder, and I don't know if we said that this time or last time, but it is like you got to be careful with nausea, dizziness, and then the psychological dimension. There's a very, very famous Dr. John Lilly, MD. He was a psychiatrist. I think he's passed away now. He was a researcher, dolphin communication research. He started in the 60s and 70s, and sensory deprivation tanks. He pretty much pioneered the idea of floating on high salt a tank with dark conditions and achieving a non-ordinary state with feeling weightlessness in a tank. That was his area. He was a federally funded, taxpayer-funded researcher. And ketamine was like part of his programming of the human biocomputer. And so, but he got really into ketamine, and he would go to these, Dr. Wilson met him at a conference in Esalen some decades ago. He said they were all like looking at him. He was just injecting ketamine in his van by himself at the conference, and he'd come out and says, I'm doing this for all of you. I'm I'm kind of like in touch with these some kind of aliens and Karelians. I think you Ka something like that. Maybe that was the zeitgeist of I don't know what. And something about how that was he was working on like Jimmy Carter's kind of just knows or so. But so his house. It's like he was doing see with all the US executive break planet. Well, like you have a lot of track marks in your legs. Doing this a little too much.
Yeah.
You're taking on
I'm
all
glad we're
kinds
talking about this. Yeah, go ahead. Because it's
this is
important.
kind of a thing. This is kind of a famous. If you read Wilson's Ketamine papers, he talks about this. He has an interview about like it's kind of Dr. Lilly, though he was a great genius and a field innovator. Unfortunately, this is where he got to with ketamine. So maybe it was just how he was, and he kind of used it this way. And I think in that way, it kind of undercut some of his work. But it was just he's a good warning. It's like, oh, be careful, keep keep it in perspective, because you could end up thinking you're kind of dosing yourself and doing it for everybody else, but then you're not able to be present with everybody when we're, I don't know, and like everybody has the capacity to influence the future. We all are quantum beings. But I do think these substances do tap into some multiplier effect. My partner at my Ames clinic, Leanna Standish, she wants to give psychedelic substances to people so that we can measure how their brains get entangled. But two people that are really close to each other, emotionally, let's say a partner, somebody that you're close to, loved one, your brains are already entangled. People say, "Oh, I knew that something was going on with them." Somehow, even though they're not in the room, there's something going on there that's maybe entanglement. And so she's actually run experiments where they put people in different brain scanners, fMRIs, and different Faraday cage rooms, and they try to see if there's an influence. And it's very hard to pick up anything, but there's like a faint signal. But her idea, and a lot of people think, well, if you take psychedelic substances, ayahuasca or something, maybe you'll boost the signal so much that you to start to pick it up as way more. And maybe true, because this is all working off this. Sometimes you got to raise the signal strength just to get the message. It's like our phones boost the signal, and now we can connect to each other. You know, so that's kind of like I think there may be something to what's happening when you're having those quantum insights. And I don't know how much of it is like also we're altering how we perceive other people, and that we send off good vibes.
Yeah,
Different,
that too.
which then influences that person.
Yeah,
So because we're all mirrors to each
we are.
ourselves, and we're looking at you, and you're looking at me, and I'm looking at how you're looking at me. It's like you're getting feedback. So there's a lot of really cool entanglement stuff that I think is worth studying. And but there's a little shamanic element to your work too. The shamanism is the idea to oldest medicine of the world. Well, somebody goes into a non-ordinary state and then uses that to heal other people. That's how shamanism works. In the Western model, it's like, no, we don't go under. You go under. You as the patient or the client.
Right. Wow. Really? So you just taught me. So shamanism is really the shaman and himself really going under and giving the insights to.
In some cases, they don't even let the person that's seeking healing go under. He's just like, I'll go do the underwork, and then I'm going to bring it to you. That's then there's many different traditions around the world that lump it all together. South American and Northern European and African of different. There's many different. Shamanism is the idea that there is somebody who had a deeper connection, a shaman, to the world beyond. Utilizes that connection to help to bring it back to the world, to help their village, help their fellow people kind of get insights, to heal, to find out what's the darkness that's infecting somebody just below the surface. So it's like it's a trope, it's a model of a human healing that psychedelic substances are a critical tool in.
Yeah.
We don't have to give that up. We don't have to say, oh, because we no longer think like that. I just think that that's a mistake. We should be able to, and I bet everybody has shamanic traditional ancestral roots. A lot of people worry, oh, I'm going to use this term shaman, but I'm a white guy. I don't have that tradition. That's bullshit. Like European, like if you go far back enough in Europe, there was many shamanic but many of them were killed.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and I kind of consider Nostradamus if he was doing what he was doing. I mean, he's playing with medicine. He's playing. I mean, if when I understood, what he was doing, and they're saying he's seeing these futuristic insights, I'm like, he's just playing with psychedelics.
I didn't realize I don't know much about him. I just used
No.
to watch his predictions. And
Yeah.
they were very good.
Yeah.
That shit was.
But it makes sense though when you think about it. Like if he's an alchemist and he's seeing these visions, I'm like, yeah, it's like ding, ding, ding. The kind of light bulb goes off when you start diving into psychedelics. You're like, oh, that's basically what he was doing. He's doing psychedelics. But no, I'm glad you brought up Lily, because I was actually in. I think nothing is ever 100% good or 100% bad. I think you can get good and bad from out of it depending on how it's used. Like nuclear energy, you can either use it for good or bad. I kind of think everything is the force, the light or the dark, but it's the force and it's how you use it. And I think it's the same thing with food. You can eat too much food or you can eat enough food. I think it's the same thing with water. You can drink too much water. So with that said, I think there is for instance, I think you have to be careful with psychedelics, with anything. And I was in Joshua Tree a couple weeks ago, about a week ago when we had to evacuate. Now I'm there, and one of the people there who was into ketamine, and the thing was he was doing ketamine just every 5-10 minutes, just taking a little bump here, a little bump there, a little bump there. And his excuse or his explanation, depending on how you want to take it or how it's used, is that he says the ketamine keeps me present, brother. It keeps me present, and even though I take, I give back, I give. And honestly, my opinion is that he's abusing it. He's abusing it. He's addicted to it. He doesn't know he doesn't know his own limitations. And a couple other people who were there had that same opinion. And I found and he admitted it. He was like, brother, I'm addicted. So that I tell people the first step into solving your problem or issue is accountability. And accountability comes with admission. And he's admitting that he's addicted to it.
Yeah.
So then the next steps can follow. If you don't have that own awareness, then all the other steps are not going to come.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it's good that he can at least see that in himself. But
Immunity is powerful for that, by the way. You were using ketamine or a psychedelic or in isolation without anybody to kind of like check you or hold you accountable. It's really hard. It's much easier. It's much more likely that things might go. So, you might say, I'm a psychonautic, travel alone, but then you talk to your friends and other fellow travelers about your difficult experiences and kind of keep each other in check a little bit. Like, oh, whoa, like maybe somebody might say, hey, you're using too much or you're not using enough or you're kind of going, not processing what's coming up each time. Don't you fast or whatever. It's really important. And I don't know if this guy, out in the desert, maybe he doesn't have anybody to talk to. I was remembering that Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia episode where he goes in to talk to this guy in the desert who's always snuffing ketamine. I can't remember what his name is, but it seemed like he was using a lot too. I don't know, like I can't say, I don't know these people, but I'm just saying the more isolated you are, or it is to kind of do, it's more, you're at risk. And ketamine people do get dependent on it. And especially if you're using it every day or multiple times a day.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. And he's
It actually, tolerance develops for sure. So you have to use a bit more to get the same effect. And anytime and that's true with even if like you might like coffee. It's like I used to drink just a little bit because it was strong for me, but now I drink a whole cup, and because I need that much, I like it. But so ketamine will do that, and then if you kind of keep going with that, you will then take it every day and regularly. So I just wanted to insert that I'm glad you helped this guy. Well, it probably helps like him like with his awareness.
Yeah.
Somebody,
Yeah.
sometimes you don't tell people it's like that's your
I know.
business, man.
Yeah, exactly. I'm staying out of it, Yeah. This ain't my problem, Yeah.
But it kind of is like we are like I think that's what sometimes. But I think this book called Lost Connections by Johan Hari. I talked to him for his earlier book called Chasing the Scream. He's a journalist in the UK, and he wrote a really good book about addiction, and it was really these are bestsellers that he has. And he interviewed all these researchers, addiction researchers, and it's like he says addiction is a social bonding. So we don't get the bonding, the feedback we need in society and social, but that is, and that's the I mean, it's like genetics, a lot of trauma. People say all kinds of things, but I think that is like he interviewed like people and really like studied it. So if we do have good bonding, I think the chances of addiction are way less. And I think I mentioned this in the earlier recording of this with you, but I want to say it again. Like I grew up in the just say no era. The way you dealt with drugs is you didn't do them. You were told that would fry your brain. Right. And that's, I know I'm like just saying no with a KNOW. Like you said, no good and bad things is Andrew Weil, he wrote a book called From Chocolate to Morphine. He's in Arizona. He said, there's no such thing as a good or bad drug. It's a good or bad relationship.
Right.
We got to get into that new way of thinking. And so we need to know what a good relationship to a drug is, because we haven't been taught that. We were just, at least in my era, it was like we were taught only good relationship with a drug is one in which it's not coming into your body at all. And that's I think that's actually a problem because we need these substances to help keep our check ourselves, but to help us when we get stuck, and just sometimes to heal and to experience the greater than. So that's what I wanted to say. Like your book, your writing, this work, you have a larger audience, and you can kind of put that word out there that we got to be building good relationships, and that has to be in community, not just in isolation with other folk, and with your understanding of what your limits are yourself and what you need to work on. So I'm glad you're doing this because your insights, I think, are going to help other people work through and get their good relationship. I'm curious, like how you developed a good relationship with drugs, like how you knew that this would be a path for you, and where did that even?
Well, actually, it's fun. I came through in the same era, the just say no era. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, marijuana was like a no to me, and like marijuana is like, you look back now, you're like, what? Like, are y'all serious? Like, alcohol is way worse than marijuana. Like, what are you talking about? Just the logic in it. And man, it's fun. But that psyche has creeped into people. I was dating a chemist, and she would drink every weekend, but yet she had problems with me smoking marijuana. And she's like, because it's illegal. I'm like, first of all, it's legal in California, okay? Like, and if you want to get on that's actually why I put the comparisons of ketamine compared to all the other drugs and substances in my book. I compared it to cigarettes, to alcohol, to cocaine, to marijuana. I compared it just to get an education of what people were actually talking about. What's funny is that this chick was a chemist, and I'm like, these molecules, but you can't admit that alcohol is way worse for you than marijuana. Like, but that was an emotional attachment and wanting to be right in the feelings of that. But with that said, I came in.
Send her a copy of your book.
I already did. But in And that's it. And that's it. Yeah. You need some.
I've read through a good part of it. I look forward to paging through and studying these tables. That's exciting.
I appreciate it, man. I mean, it means a lot. I'm glad you're a part of it, for real. Like, I'm so thrilled that you're a part of it, for real. But my
Don't look like it. Nothing's come out like this. You're a pioneer.
wow, that means a lot. That means a lot because I know you know way more about the culture and the psyche and the studying of it than I do. I'm kind of just new to this, even though I've fallen deep into it. You have history in this, so I'm flattered, man.
The few historical books, there's not too many, and like people, usually they're like, there's one famous book where a girl like used ketamine a lot, and then she talked about it, but then like it was like a bad ending.
Right.
Never
Never again. No. But
There's a book called Ketamine, Dreams and Realities by this doctor from Australia that I met once. And he has some cool stuff, but it's a lot. It's not like he's talking about like the near-death experience. Near-death experiences and ketamine experiences are really close together. So you have a kind of a mixture of different things there, coming at it from a much more, like you said, urban and I would say it's like DIY or like
do it yourself, right? Yeah. But I wanted to give scientific evidence and to back up anything I was saying. I wanted to give the pros and cons. I wanted to be a guide. I wanted to be like, this is what you read, and you got a quick understanding of what you're about to go into and what to look out for. But so just to get into just say no era, like, cause
yes.
weed was marijuana was a no for me. When you get into marijuana, that's like the first barrier that gets broken down. Psychedelics. When I first heard of psychedelics, I thought it was some white boy shit.
Right.
Not understanding that mushrooms has been around for thousands of years and indigenous cultures and all like that. Because when you're in the high school phase of America, all you know is American history. And American history only teaches you things that happened in America for the past 300 years. They don't even like to go 400 because they try not to talk about the slavery, 400, 300 years. And then they teach you about European history. They don't teach you anything about Asia. They don't teach you anything about Indian culture. They don't teach you anything about Africa. So, or South America. So I'm not learning these things. It's world history, but no, you're really just giving me, westernized history. Yeah. But when you get deep into it, like I've started falling down the rabbit hole of seeing, I see these things that have been around for thousands. It's here for us to use. But like I say, anything that is a medicine can also be a poison. It's also how you use it. With me, wise, I don't think that I am better than anyone in the sense that I can't get addicted to something. So I watch myself. This is why there are certain substances that I would never entertain, only because I have never seen a success story while using them, and that's heroin, that's crack, and that's meth. I would never want to experience those things because the only stories I've ever heard of it is that you get hooked immediately. And so I've never heard of a story where it's like, yeah, I did this, I had these great insights, and now I'm off of it. I've never heard any story like that with that. So I was like, I don't need that. When I first came into DMT, I did my research on it to find the addiction levels with it and the potential for danger. I was amazed that there were no addiction stories with it, and there were no potentials for danger. I'm like, what? How can this thing be this powerful, but yet there's no addictions to it? I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And when I experienced with it, I understood. I was like, wow, I see why that is what is said from it. Because DMT is actually the opposite of addiction, in my opinion. I've when I first came into it, I've made my own DMT, so it was easier to make than it was to get. Now, with that said, I had a supply of DMT that I never have to make it again. So there were 5 years. For about 5 years, I had a golf ball size of DMT just sitting 5 feet away from me, where I would work. Never touched it, and this is after I had already been doing it. But for 5 years, I took a break, never touched it, sitting 5 feet away from me every single day. You cannot do that with heroin. You cannot have heroin in this. Heroin users will tell you you cannot be in the same room with it. Like, I don't care if you've been off of it for 5-10 years. Like, you cannot be around it. It calls you like that. DMT is the opposite. Matter of fact, for me, I tell people the longer you go without DMT, the harder it is to get back into it. So someone who has never done it will have an easier time doing it than I would, even though I've done it multiple times. But if I did it today, it would be easier to get back into it tomorrow. All right. So now, with that said, when I experienced ketamine, I had heard some of the stories. Watch out, it can get addicting. Not addicting like the harder drug like heroin or nothing like that. There was no stories like that. And there was no addiction to where I heard death type addictions. I never heard any death type addictions with ketamine.
Well, Matthew Perry, of course.
But you know what? And let's talk about that. Matthew Perry didn't die from the ketamine. He died from drowning. And the ketamine just disassociates you. It numbs you to the point that's why you have ketamine. That's why the book, I want a safety guide to. You have to be careful with it because it will, quote unquote, paralyze you for that time that you're out. So that's what he was. He was in the tub and he paralyzed himself. So he goes under and he doesn't know what's going on. And the drowning is what killed.
Thank you for clarifying. It's true. It wasn't directed to the drug.
No, not at all.
Ability to judge.
Right. Exactly.
Where you can breathe, but nose and mouth have to be accessible to the air, unfortunately. But, so there are some, those kinds of things getting into ketamine. But I agree with you that it's much safer than those other substances, but there is this potential. And
I agree.
There's a professor, Carl Hart. He's a PhD researcher. He did Columbia University. He was the first black tenured science professor at Columbia. And he did a lot of work on drugs, psychopharmacology. He would give people crack or heroin in his lab and take him research subjects. And he kind of started to dispel even some of the myths around, like, use one to you forever hooked. For example, he would take street crack users in New York, and he would say, okay, I'll either give you crack, you could have this hit of crack, or I can give you I think it was 10, 15 bucks, 20 bucks, some amount of money. And he was showing how people would often choose the money over taking the drug. So there was some of the conditions of their lives are so desperate. So this was kind of a way to deal with the desperation of the drug. But if you actually had some money in your pocket, you're fine.
Right,
So
right. That is interesting.
Some of the, and it was weekend warriors, people that just use heroin on a weekend and they don't ever deal with it again. That kind of thing. So a lot of our drug cultures create a shooting gallery. I have nothing else in my life. So I hope that, you probably are well connected in the resource. So even if somebody said, I want to experiment, I'm not going to say you should do these things, but I'm just saying there's a little bit of an extra mythology we've created around drugs that hook us like it's crazy. Our bodies, the drug comes in and it goes out.
Yeah.
Gone. You might have a high. I once had a kidney stone a few times. I had to get an intravenous Dilaudid injection in the hospital, just to get a pain relief. Dilaudid is hydromorphone, which is very close to diacetylmorphine, which is what heroin is. Diacetylmorphine and hydromorphone they all come from morphine. Anyway, it was an incredibly pleasurable experience to take the more Dilaudid, but I gave a great pain relief when nothing else touched it. And I didn't have any like problems like caring for, oh yeah, I take Dilaudid every day now or anything like that. But I also know that there's been research done in Canada where they gave people Dilaudid and heroin in these North American opioid maintenance initiative, and they would actually use Dilaudid injections to give people, get them off street heroin, and they give them Dilaudid in the clinic, and then they got cut thing with social workers, and they got them off the street, and they eventually got them off of Dilaudid. But you can use either drug. It doesn't matter if it's heroin or Dilaudid. That's what they're interchangeable. This shows you that it's not just about the drug; it's about the social conditions of your use. So that's what I'll tell you in case you ever, there are a few, you'll meet people in your life. You will hear, oh, I tried meth once, or I used it and I stopped it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it made me feel. Or I tried heroin because I was like dealing with that part of my life. I quit and I'm done and I don't care for it anymore. So these drugs are, I think our addiction policies, our drug policies, prohibition is the worst. That increases all the risks for all drugs because you can't talk to anybody about it. You can't get safety information. You can't do shit. You can't even get safe supply without it being laced with fentanyl or some other shit, and then you die. It is a very dangerous situation, prohibition. But
before we close, again, I want to thank you for being part of my book, Bump, coming out. We getting this, and I'm sending you some copies. Your information in here is invaluable. I'm telling you. I'm a psychonaut. I'm not a physician, and I didn't go to school for this. So to have someone as your expertise, your knowledge, your credentials, to find appreciation for it, man, that it humbles me. I can't tell you how much it humbles me. I'm flattered I feel like a little boy, like when you found out like something happened. We're going on a school trip. Like when I found out that you wanted to be a part of it, you were available. I was geeked, like I was like, oh yo, that's so great. That's so great. So I can't.
It's my pleasure. I'm so glad you need to have these kind of connections because your experience in the world with ketamine is unique and not many people have that knowledge, and it's great. I have a very specific kind of knowledge. You have a specific kind of knowledge, and we need to bring it together because it helps us understand each other better. And ChatGPT is the one that told you to come in. So you have to thank AI.
For real.
The internet for finding giving us insight into ourselves.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a psychedelic thing to say. Like,
I agree.
AI is a trip on top of the internet.
It is.
It's gonna work.
I so agree. I know. Listen, it's so weird. It's so weird that I wonder who's directing who at one point. Because is the AI directing us or are we directing the AI? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is cycle. Like, I really don't know what's directing what. Dr. Aggrawal, where can people find you if you want them to find you?
My clinic is called Ames Institute. We got a website, www.amesinstitute.net. We're on Facebook and Instagram, and I've got my own personal Instagram, Sunil1007. You can find me on there. I try to share information. I'm on Twitter and Facebook. That's pretty much it. I haven't done a whole lot of social media these days, but maybe I gotta get back out there because it's a lot of changes happening in the world, and it's important to communicate about what's going on. We don't just get into our silos and kind of batten down the hatches. So find me on Instagram, Sunil1007, Facebook, and on the web.
Well, Dr. Sunil Aggarwal, I really appreciate your time. I look forward to connecting with you in person sometime soon. I look forward to having you in here in the hot seat over across from me and really get this going. And I look forward to just a further relationship with you, man. I can't thank you enough. It's an honor to connect with you.
Thank you so much, Marcel. I look forward to it. Keep on getting safe out there in LA, and make sure you breathe safely.
Yeah.
Hopefully those fires get some rain or something.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, yeah. Seattle, y'all need to send us some of your rain, you know. Come on.
Yeah, please take it. Actually, this is the driest January in decades,
Wow.
they said. I don't know what the hell's going on. So
Yeah, yeah.
if we had it, we would definitely.
You'd like to get rid of it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Well, we are going to unplug from the system and catch and see you on the rebound.
Okay, my friend.
All right.
Good night.
I appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate you, brother. I'll see you soon. All right.
The Cosmic Delic Download.